People have always wanted good-looking games. In 2024, this hasn't changed. If a game has a poor aesthetic, it's going to deter people from wanting to play it. You're not going to get away with making an ugly-looking game. Games like Super Mario Wonder, Splatoon, Metroid Prime Remastered, and Pikmin 4 have great graphics. These games are able to give you stunning visuals, even without bleeding-edge graphical technology and realism. Styles make fights, and they also make video games. Cuphead was one of the more impressive games in a while visually. Same can be said about Hi-Fi Rush. You can't see anyone's nose hairs or the zits on their face, but this doesn't really matter. AAA games have become stale because every game looks the same now. When you're outside and you look around at the people and the environment, it all looks the way it looks. A person is going to look like a person, a tree is going to look like a tree, the sky is the sky, etc. There is no real evolution of change in the way reality looks aesthetically. It is what it is. When you stick to making games like this, you're going to hit a wall. Reality has a limit you can't bypass, and all these gaming studios making ultra-realistic games are by necessity going to make games which all look like each other, because the plateau for realism has been reached. This is not to say realistic graphics have never had any value. In fact, it's only recently that realistic graphics now have diminishing returns. There's always been a development push and a consumer desire for realism in video games, going all the way back to the much more primitive games. Whether it's 3D effects, polygonal game characters and environments, or voice recording or realistic sound effects, games have attempted to blur the line between video games and reality in an effort to make visually and sonically appealing games. The thing about art style versus realism is with realism, once you get to a certain point, you can't go much further outside of incremental improvements to fidelity, which may or may not be valuable to the gaming experience. Art style has infinite avenues you can go down. The only limit is your imagination. When thinking about the concept of lateral thinking with withered technology, in many AAA game developers' pursuit to make games which mimic leaving your house and interacting with the real world, you skip over the creative potential much of this allegedly outdated technology can offer to the consumer. Nintendo, along with many indie game developer studios, have tapped into this well of ideas and made some highly critically acclaimed and commercially successful games. The games which are selling the most and getting the most praise aren't dealing with ultra-realistic movie cinema graphics. We have to remember video games are just that, video games. The majority of people who desire ultra-realism will go outside. People who play games are looking for a break from reality. They want something which isn't so much like reality, but still looks cool. Super Mario Wonder is an absolutely gorgeous gaming experience from a visual standpoint. Making a game like this requires you to actually know how to make games. It goes far beyond setting all the knobs for graphics to extreme and letting a rip. Super Mario Kart outsells racing games like Forza and Gran Turismo, and it's not even close. Super Smash Bros. Is hot on the heels of Mortal Kombat and totally clears Street Fighter, Tekken, and King of Fighters in sales. Splatoon has a long way to go before it can catch Call of Duty, and it probably never will because Call of Duty is a commercial juggernaut. But for a franchise which debuted on the failed Wii U, its last two installments have done spectacular sales-wise. All of these games, on top of being pure fun to play, have a very compelling art style to them, offering great visuals. These games also have their copycats. Tears of the Kingdom is actually a good-looking and well-made game. Frame rate snobs be damned. It indeed pushes the hardware to its limits, but getting the plethora of physics engines to work in this game for a gaming experience, which is virtually bug-free on what's called a potato system, is nothing short of a miracle. Games with much bigger development budgets, more time, and using far more advanced graphics technology can't make a game that runs this clean. Even the Xenoblade Chronicles games look amazing. even though they do have their technical hiccups. Whether you're a graphics snob or someone who doesn't mind something more low tech, all of us want a game that looks good and is aesthetically pleasing, and there are numerous ways to accomplish this.